We are learning Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph in Yoma. Top of the page, Ton Rabbanon. V'nasan es hakteris al ha'esh of Hashem. The pasuk tells that the Kohen Gadol has to put the keteris on the fire, which is the gacham, the pan that has coals on it. He puts the keteris on top of that, lifnei Hashem, in front of Hashem. What do we see from there? Shalei yitakin mi bachutz. Don't put the keteris on outside the yachnis and then walk in to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And this is l'haitzim l'vin shel tzedukim. This is opposing to the opinion of the tzedukim. Sha'imrim, they said yitakin mi bachutz v'yachnis. No, you have to prepare the keteris outside and then walk in with it. My derish, where'd they get that from? The pasuk says ki ba'onon eira ala kaperis. Ki ba'onon, with a cloud. The pasuk before that says loy. Where'd that Rashi go? Ki ba'onon, three lines down from the top on Rashi. Al yavai, the pasuk says, do not come in ki ba'onon, ki in ba'onon. You have to come in with a cloud. So they learned the pasuk to mean that you can only come in if there's already a cloud of keteris. Melamed she'itakim b'chutz v'yachnis. Amru lam chacham, so chacham said to the tzedukim, v'loi kvarnam, the pasuk says, v'nasan es keteris al ha'esh lifnei Hashem. You have to put the keteris onto the fire in front of Hashem. It means inside. Imkain matam leimer kiba anon eira al kaperis. So what is the pasuk kiba anon? With a cloud, I will be seen on the kaperis, on top of the kaperis, that you can come in be'anon. Melamed shenaisim ba mala oshan. You have to put in mala oshan. What's mala oshan? Mala oshan was some, a grass. Rashi says that caused the smoke to go up straight like a stick. That was called mal oshan. It raised the smoke, but it went up straight. So you have to put in mal oshan. That's what kiba anon comes to teach me. How do you know you have to put in mal oshan? Because the pasuk says v'chisa anon hakateris as hakaperis, the cloud of the kateris would cover the kaperis. The Gemara will soon ask, you just told me where I learned it from. I learned it from Kiba Anan. Why are you telling me now? Why are you asking and telling me another pasuk? The Gemara will get back to that. But if you didn't put in Mala Oshan, or you left out any of the 11 spices or fragrances or besamim that went into the keteris, chayiv misa bidei shemayim, that is. Then we learn that from the pasuk because it says v'chisa anon and then it says v'lo yamas. Okay. One second. I can tell you another reason why you're chayiv misa. If you're missing one of these spices, one of the samanim, and you go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, guess what you just did? You did what's called a bia rekanis. You went in empty-handed, because if you went in without what was necessary, so that's called going in for no reason, because you didn't achieve what you needed to achieve. So that's called a bia rekanis. So you're chayiv misa because the pasuk says al yavai b'chol eis al hakodesh v'lo yamos. So you can't just go in wherever you want. There's got to be a tzarech to going into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So if you're missing one of the samamanim in your keteris, and you went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, so you went in a bia rekanis, you're chayiv misa for that. Forget the fact that you offered keteris that was missing something. I'll give you an example where you need both. Kegoin sheshagag bebia v'hizid b'haktara. You knew that your keteris was missing, but you didn't know your chayiv misa for going into the Kodesh HaKadoshim empty-handed. Okay. Rav Ashi Amar, afilu tema hizid bezu bezu, even in a scenario where you knew you were doing something wrong and there was a misa on both. Kegoin da'al shtei keteris. What happens if you brought in two keteris? One had all of the ingredients and one was missing. So abila mechayiv, you're not chayiv for bia rekanis because you went in for a reason to be makter keteris, and that worked. Daha ayaloi shalema. But aktar mechayiv, but on the second aktar you're going to be chayiv to come makter keteris chaser because you offered a keteris which was missing ingredients. Okay, let's go back to this issue. Why do we have two psukim telling me that you need mala oshan? Amar mar. We've stated previously. Uminayin shenezim b'mal ashen. Tamalemer v'chisa. Kra l'kra. Do I need a pasuk for a pasuk? The pasuk already told me. Kiba anon eira. That I need a be in an an. That means I need the mal ashen. So why do I need another pasuk of v'chisa? So Mark gives a few tirusim. Amar of Yosef. Hachi kamer. This is what it's telling me. Ainli Allah mal ashen. It's all that maybe I would think you only could use the stalk or the leaf of the mal ashen. Iker. But what about the root, the sherish? Mal ashen minayin. How do you know you can use that as well? Tamalami v'chisa, another pasuk. So it tells me I can use both. Amr le'abayi va'ifchatanya. L'maisa we learned the opposite, that it's more mistaver to be able to use the root than it is to use the leaf. The Tanya doesn't, but ikar mal ashen. When you put the ikar in, that was gavaldik. Hay mitamer va'oila kamakal. The smoke would go up like a palm tree and a stick straight up. Until it got to the roof, and once it reached the roof, then it would spread it over the roof and then down the walls, until the whole house, the whole room was filled with the fragrant smoke of the koteris. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, v'habayis yamaliyash. And that was when you use the ikar. So you see, using the root is the prime way to bring the kater, is the prime ingredient. Elamar bay hachikamar, ainli ela ikar, mal ashen, Allah ma'ala ashen minayin. I would assume when it says you have to have the mal ashen that you would be using the root. How do you know you can even use the leaf? That's the second pasuk. Rosh Hashanah, I'll give you another teretz. Ainli ela oil mayid. I only know that you have to do this in the oil mayid. Sheba Midbar, that was in the desert. But what about in Shiloh and the base of Lam and the base of Mikdash? Minayin, Tamlam v'chisa. So I would have thought that maybe you only needed the Mala Ashen in the oil mayid, but not in the base of Mikdash. Says the Gemara, that's not where I learned this from. That's on from the where it says wherever Hashem says wherever I will dwell with you, wherever my Shekhinah will be sheichin itam. That is where I want you to do whatever you did in the oil mayid. So that's where I know that from. Maybe you only need Mala Ashen on Yom Kippur. What about the rest of the year? Okay. Rav Ashi Amar, a third teretz, Chad lemitzvah, v'chad la'akev. The first time it's telling me for a mitzvah, this is what you should do, and the second time tells me that if you don't, then it's going to be ma'akev. Rav Amar, Chad la'inish, v'chad la'azhara. One is for a oinish, the misa, and one is telling you the azhara not to do it. I mean, don't miss it. Put it in. Don't be missing it. Tanner of we have a bracelet like that as well. Blazer Emer Yomos is a einish. When the Torah says Yomos, that's the einish, that if you're missing something or the mal ashen, you get misa b'dei shemayim. Kiba anan ira is azhar. That's the way it should be. Yachal yushneim amurim kedem misas bnei Aaron. You might have thought that this is maybe why the bnei Aaron's children who died is because they didn't put the mala ashen into the keteris. You may have thought that. Yachal yushneim amurim kedem misas bnei Aaron, and both the azhara and the einish were stated before Aaron's children died. No, this whole parsha said acharei ma'is b'shnei bnei Aaron. That's the part the parsha is called. So that can't be the reason why they perished. Yachlu yushneim amurim achar misas Aaron. So maybe they were both said after Aaron's kids died. Gemara says no, that's not true. We'll see what the Joshua from that is in a minute. Okay, it said azhara kaidim. The azhara not to do it. You need to have all the samamanim was said kaidim misa. V'oinish achar misa. But the punishment of layamos was said after they already died. So that can't be the reason why they died, because they didn't know you got misa for that. My Talmuda. What's the Joshua on this pasuk? Amarava amakar kiba anan eroeh. Within a cloud I will be seen. That means when this pasuk was said, v'adai l'nira, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't yet appear. The Shekhinah didn't yet appear on the kaparis. And the Maisa, that means this was said. This must have been said before Hashem appeared in the Oyel Moed, and that happened on that day. It says Vayar Kved Hashem El Kol Ha'am Vayarenu. That was the Shemay Miluim. So this pasuk must have been said before. Elamai Tamiyanish. So then, what is the reason why the Bnei Aharon got punished. It's not because they brought Keteris missing the Ma'ala Ashen. Because the Tanner of Lazar Emer Leimesu Bnei Aharon Ella al Shahiru Halacha B'nei Moshe, because they paskin the halacha in front of their Rebbe Moshe. Wow. Rashi says even though they were right for the drasha was correct, but they were wrong for not asking Rishus from Moshe. My Darsh, what was the drasha? V'nasnu b'nei Aharon hakoyin ish al hamizbeach. Afal pi shah ish eres min Shemayim. Even though ish comes down from Shemayim, there's a mitzvah lahavi min hedit. There's a mitzvah to put ish, bring ish yourself. So that is the drasha they made, and that's what they did. They were maybe an ish min hedit onto the mizbeach, and for that even though they were doing the right thing, but they should have asked Moshe if that was the correct drasha. Okay, back to the Mishnah. Yatza, the Kohen Gadol leaves. Yatza uba loy derech knesses. He goes back the way he came in. Menanimili. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani. How do we know that? Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Kol. The pasuk says, "Vayavei Shlomo lebama." Shlomo went to the bama asher begivain Yerushalayim. That was in Given Yerushalayim. It should say that was in Given from Yerushalayim. He went there from Yerushalayim. What's Given Yerushalayim? V'chema Given eitz Yerushalayim. Elamakish yitziasim Givain li Yerushalayim libiyasim Yerushalayim legivain. The Navi is connecting for us the way Shlomo traveled from Yerushalayim to Givon and the way he went back from Givon to Yerushalayim. In what way? Just like when he was going from Yerushalayim to Givon, Panav Klapi Bama. His face was constantly, he was always facing the Bama. Kederech biyasai, ach v'yitziyasai. So too when he's leaving, Givon Yerushalayim, Panav Klapi Bama, his face he should be facing the Bama. Kederech biyasai, like the way he came in. And similarly the Kehanim, when they left their Avodah and the Levim B'Duchanan and Yisrael Amadam, when they would leave, they wouldn't just turn around and walk out. They would sort of turn to the side and put their face facing the Heichel and walk out until they left the Heichel. And that's what everybody does when you leave the Kaisel. Nobody turns their back to the Kaisel to walk out. Everybody sort of backs away from the Kaisel. And similarly, when a Talmud leaves his Rebbe, he shouldn't turn around and walk out. He turns to the side. You don't want to walk, if you're confident you can walk backwards and not trip, you could do that. But if you're not so confident about that, so then you turn to the side and you face towards the Rebbe and you walk. And we have a story. Ki hadar Rav Elazar can have a mifta minei Rabbi Yochanan. When Rabbi Elazar was a Talmud Rabbi Yochanan, so when he would leave Rabbi Yochanan, or vice versa, could have a boy Rabbi Yochanan Suguye, if Rabbi Yochanan was leaving the room that Rabbi Elazar was in, so have a Gochen, Koi Rabbi Elazar, Aduchte, Rabbi Yochanan would stand and bow, Rabbi Elazar would stand and bow in his place until he could, until he couldn't see Rabbi Yochanan anymore. They could have a boy Rabbi Elazar l'sugiyeh, and Rabbi Elazar wanted to leave from Rabbi Yochanan, have a ka'azal achure, he would go backwards ad the michse minei Rabbi Yochanan, couldn't until Rabbi Yochanan was covered from him. Rava, ki have a miftar minei Rabbi Yosef, when Rava would leave his Rabbi Yosef, have a azal achure, he would walk backwards ad the menagfan kare, until he would cut up his feet, umisvasan askupata, and the door would be filled with blood from his feet bleeding of Rabbi Yosef's house. Dama. Amrulay, top of the Gimel Beis, they told Rabbi Yosef Hachiyavid that Rava gives you so much cover even though you can't see. But that's the way he would walk out even if his feet would start bleeding. Amrulay, he said, Yehirava de Toroim Reishcha Akula Karcha. It should be the will of Hashem that your head should be raised above the whole city. You should become the Rosh Hashiva over the town. And that's what happened.